guys, Jordan D here for Hashtag Survival Episode 7. And we are here today to talk about enemies in survival games. About external enemies, things like zombies, bandits, animal predators, and then the games that are more element-based, natural things like wolves, the element storms, whether it's cold, weather, anything like that. And just the way these things kind of enhance and go along with our gameplay. And I know on the topic of enemies in survival games, D, since you are relatively new to the genre, since I dragged you in kicking and screaming, I know you'd be somewhat surprised to know that sometimes zombies show their heads in survival games.
No, not zombies.
They're very rare. I don't know of any shows or movies that are centered around zombies. It's not really something that's been explored. Also, vampires. Vampires are also very rare.
It's not as if zombies dominated our media in the early 2010s and have continued to do so. It's not like that happened.
Have you ever noticed that, I guess even in the games, actually, they're always such a wide range of interpretations? Like, I remember reading an article about them, and maybe it was Walking Dead, which I've never watched, but even in the games, like, you can look at a zombie from DayZ, and then you could look at, would be called a puppet, but basically operates the same as a zombie in Scum. And then you look at the actually fucking creep-tastic survive the night ones who are crawling in the window like Spider-Man. And like, have you noticed that sometimes they're like really fast, sometimes they're not, sometimes they're really stupid, sometimes they're not?
Yeah, I think that may be part of why we see them so often. The fact that you can sort of be very varied with the way that you handle them. You can have them be a little smarter if you want them to. You can have them be really dumb. So there's a range of how you can handle. You can have them move slow. You can have them move fast. You can have them act differently at night versus during the day. There's a lot of different ways you could do it. Similar to like how vampires have been sort of, from case to case, they'll be different based on the media you're consuming about them. But I think that might be one reason why we see them so often in games in general, not just survival games, but just in general. But I think it's also because zombies they're an easy enemy to handle in the sense that, like, you're not killing another sentient person, right? Like, you're just killing a mindless undead thing. And they can be dumb, so you don't have to worry about making complicated AI or coding any complicated behaviors. It can be just as simple as zombie sees you, zombie wants to eat you, zombie tries to attack you, and there you go. That's it. So I think that's why we see them so commonly, is because you can sort of pick and choose what sort of way you want them to be. And overall, they're not too complicated to understand or to handle.
Yeah. Those are all fair points. I think, too, it would be interesting if they explored it a little more in depth. Like, with vampires, there's a lot of really, I don't even want to call it common, but like when you talk vampires, people are like, oh yeah, well, sunlight. Like, you can stake them. The garlic thing, they're bats, blah, blah, blah. And I think there's a lot of fertile ground with zombies, and it would be nice to see people really take advantage, developers really, of just the zombie-ish parts of their nature. Like, yeah, they're really stupid and everything, but a lot of like literature and stuff really portrays them as being like really strong. Like, you can hack off a leg or an arm, and that arm or leg will still come after you. It'd be cool to see things like maybe you do go in with your melee weapon like you like to do with a sword, and maybe you carve it up, but while you're working through the right side of the pack, the arms that you like cut off are crawling after you to grab you.
Yeah. Or, I cut off an arm, but that zombie's got another arm, and that zombie's got teeth. And that happens to me all the time in games as well. Like in 7 Days, I'm hacking off arms and legs, but the zombies are still swinging and still biting at me, so I still take damage. So yeah, that does happen in some games. I get what you're saying though. Like there's a lot more that you can do with zombies as well.
Yeah, and I think different games put their own spin on them. There are some where they're really just kind of like a really different, ugly, textured AI version. The Daisy zombies are really nothing to write home about. The puppets and Scum, nothing to write home about, really. 7 Days, they were always kind of like doofy looking. I mean, they're definitely not like to the level of being cartoon, but when they redid them, like the redone dog and the redone, the dude, the fucking fire Bernie dude?
Oh God, yeah, the guy that's like all burned and crispy. He is so scary now. Yeah, if you haven't played 7 Days since, what was it, Alpha 20 was when they redid the all the models.
19 or
If you
20,
haven't
yeah.
played, yeah, if you haven't played since then, take a look at the new models at the very least because they did really well on them and they are really spooky. Like when you're up close and personal with them, like they're actually really, really spooky.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think a little bit of it is blunted by the fact that more often than not, the environment is really upbeat. Like, yeah, you can get, the shade or like the overcast skies in certain zones, or yeah, you can go out at nighttime and stuff, and then actually you have that night level, but the just the weird, I don't know, the weird comparison between the really, really complex models versus just how blocky and kind of derpy like the world looks still is something that really makes it harder for me to take some of them as seriously. So, like the stripper lady and some of the other basic ones are just kind of like whatever. The big chick in the dress, Big Mama. But
Big
the
Mama.
burn dude, the burn dude, like when you get up close to him, he's got that really stretched, taut skin, like that crypt keeper with the bright, bright teeth and eyes.
Oh.
No,
And yeah, and when
no.
they're feral and they're charging at you, oh, I hate it.
Yeah, do not like. But even then, it's really in their looks, right? Like behaviorally, they're still not they're not like largely different from say Scum 7 Days or Daisy and stuff. But when you go into Survive the Nights, like that, watching them shatter the glass, shatter the wood of the window frame, and then just kind of that really stiff arm hook
Oh,
over the window to climb out and then put their hand through it, especially when it's at night, because the houses in that game at night are pitch black. And when you can see just
yeah.
that shape, that silhouette of their shoulders and shit as they're climbing in the window, no,
Yeah, you just hear the glass breaking and then you see them climbing in. Yeah, it is pretty horrifying.
nope. It's if we were doing a video for this, this is where I would put in the this is where I put in the house cleaner from Family Guy. No, no,
No, no.
no, do not want.
Yeah, no,
But
that's very sufficiently spooky. I will give them that.
and a lot of it is too is just in how you frame it, right? Like if you just take them, if you threw zombies for whatever reason, and obviously it would have to match the art style. But if I just picked up some little pixel zombies and I like sprinkled them on your Stardew Valley farm, like I just they'd be zombies, but it's really hard to get scared of them in that context.
Yeah, I guess at that point the scariness just more comes from the idea of not wanting to get overwhelmed and killed by them, and less in the way they look. It's less of a visceral visual sort of feel and fear than it is just, oh God, I don't want to die. That's a lot of zombies, you know?
Yeah, and in that context, it's just a mob. I
Yeah.
could do 50 wolves or 50 bears or 50 whatever and just be like, oh, well, I don't want to die. I don't want to lose my bag. I don't want to walk back from my spawn point. I don't want to whatever, whatever. But when you can play into it, and I don't think these are not zombies, technically they're mutants, but I don't think that anyone has done it as good as the forest.
Oh God. Yeah.
every every fucking new one that came out. Remember the first night we played and we were just hiding in the tail of the plane? They're just
Yeah.
they're just
Just
laughing out of sight and doing shit.
they're just running around out there, and yeah, yeah. And then when they started getting like really spooky looking, like you started getting to the really fucked up like flesh amalgamations, like Legsy and stuff. Like yeah, yeah. And the way they acted, like they were similar to zombies in some ways, but not not really. Like I feel like they are a separate thing, all their own. Like like you said, that I think they were called mutants or something, or that's the term most people use for them. Um, but they were monstrous, and they were just like everything about them was just unsettling and creepy. And I don't think I ever really got to a point in that game where like I wasn't creeped out by them, just because they always were so erratic and just so weird and yeah.
But it was really like they didn't just nail it from a combat perspective. It wasn't just, like the biggest annoyance in like an FPS like PvE kind of shooter thing is just constantly going through all these enemies that are like gun sponges. And it's like, oh, you put in a new enemy, but it's just like, okay, well, I will just have to empty my clip in it even more. Like that's the mechanic. And so for when they have these mutants in forests, it wasn't just that it was mechanically like, oh, they fought well. When they would be trying to go around you, because there's other games that the combat from the AI, like Green Hell, the Tribals, like those when they weren't being bugged, were actually pretty good. But just the entire package, the sounds, the movements, the look, the way like they move their body or moved along the floor, were taking meat off of the drying rack, or the first night where we were all like, oh yeah, well we built this house, it doesn't have a roof, but whatever, we're inside, like, zombie game 101, fuck your face. And then they would climb the wall and just hook the arm over the top and fall in, and you were outside fighting.
Oh God,
And I was
yeah.
outside so quick screaming, I was like, nope, you can't be
Uh-huh.
in the house, too
And
scary.
how about the when we lost that first house we built because the one of the giant mutants fucking knocked it down, like just took out the supports and the entire house just crumbled. It was horrifying.
And that's what I mean, is like, I think for them, it it really, like, they made the game survival for me, because God knows in that scenario there were other things that were meant to be survival, and so it had the criteria, it passed the criteria that made me put it on survival. Like, you had to do your food and your water, blah blah blah, and as first person it fit that basic list. But you really felt your like mortality with them, whereas in like Scum or DayZ, those zombies don't really make me feel one way or the other. Like, once you get the hang of fighting them, they're very simplistic. Once you get the hang of evading them, it's really easy to sprint and run away. Like, I window dive all the time in Scum if I'm getting chased by too many. So, it was nice in the forest that it really just tied in everything. Like, it really brought home the fact that you were like one wrong step could could really fuck you, especially like in the caves or something.
The caves were a whole nother story. Honestly, just so dark and cramped and filled with like the creepy little flopping babies and stuff, which sounds so weird out of context. If you've never played The Forest and you just heard me say that and you're like, what the fuck? But like they cannot even be explained. Like you have to experience them. um, but yeah, that's the they did a really good job with the enemies for sure in that game. Um, and supposedly they're going to be even better, even scarier and smarter in the sequel, which that's horrifying to me, and I don't know how I feel about it.
Yeah, there's been a lot said about just the complexity that they're going for. Like, they want them to kind of do more. They want them to have times where maybe they're reactive to how the player is doing things to them, where they're, happy or sad or belligerent or aggressive or whatever the case may be. And obviously, we only have the trailer to base things off of, but the new, whatever you want to call it, Legsy 2.0, fucking creepy.
Oh
like,
yeah.
like even more weirdly sexual, but also really creepy. And there was a couple of other weird ones in that newest trailer, like the two that were like joined together, and it's just
Yeah.
it seems like it's gonna be uh, a creepy fucking ride.
It's gonna be something. It's gonna be something. Um, but yeah, that's like the fact that these enemies were so creepy. You mentioned how that made it put it more in the survival category for you. And I have to agree because you just feel like you're constantly on edge, constantly looking out for these things, and you're never really safe from them, Like, if you're in your house, like in some survival games, you're in your house and you're like, okay, whatever, I'm safe. You got your nice, beautiful base built up. You're high up. They can't get you. You're fine. And maybe you hear them shambling around outside or making noises or hitting against the walls, but you're like, whatever, they can't get in here. But like, I don't think I ever felt safe at any point while playing the forest. And that kind of made the experience for me, right? Because you're always on edge and you're always looking over your shoulder and you're always trying to pay attention to what's going on around you. Um, and yeah, I think that really made the game for me, or made the whole experience into a nice, complete thing for me.
Yeah, and I think Forest is one where it suitably it suitably lets the AI tie in some other things that are understated to give you the entire, like, I'm living on knife's edge, I'm really trying to scratch my way and claw my way in this world kind of experience, rather than just more of the like, well, now I'm in my super secure, like, pre-bid house that no one will ever break through and I'm safe, la 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 la. But they were allowed to interact with a lot of things, and I think that is a good point to sidestep into the more traditional types of enemy AI that are humans, because GH, Green Hell, with the tribal members, and Subsistence with the AI hunters, they both did something similar, where, like, when these AI came, if they weren't able to get to you, then they would start fucking up your shit. Like breaking the house, breaking things that are outside, breaking your fire pit.
Yeah, or throwing things at you, like throwing spears or getting out their ranged weapons, throwing Molotovs at you in the case of subsistence.
Yeah, I mean, Subsistence really clearly goes after the BCU, and they're going towards that thing. They're breaking the walls, but I mean, they are going after you. And Subsistence 2 has that. They go out, as they spawn in, they spawn into the world when you do, and they start building and stuff, and you end up getting into this little like land war with them where, like, as you're traveling, you see their campfires for the roaming ones, you see the bases that are being built at the same time you're building yours, and you could go and raid their base. Periodically they will come and raid your base, and it's this whole little seesaw, back and forth. And
Yeah.
it gave it like a nice little, it gave the world like a little bit of dimension, I think.
Yeah, there's this whole mechanic of revenge in Subsistence where if you go and you attack the hunter's base and you kill them and you fuck up their base and you steal their stuff and then you leave, they will come and attack you in revenge. Like it's actually called, I'm pretty sure like in the settings, the service settings, it's like you can change whether they'll attack out of revenge or whatever. And for AI to have that idea of, oh, they fucked us up, so now we're gonna go get them and get them back, like that's really cool. And it also it ties in to, like, what you were saying with the things you do and the timing in which you do them, like, are important and matter because if you go and you attack a base but you're not prepared for the counterattack, then you fucked up, because now you're going to get messed up and all that. stuff you may have just stolen from them, you might lose anyway. So it comes down, it's another thing you have to kind of balance and decide on, whether it's worth it to go and to attack that base or to just hold off and build up defensively or whatever you're going to do.
Yeah, and I mean they scale. Now, obviously, we could go into the negative of it, which is about their aim. They're being so good at aiming and stuff, but they're also very stupid. And I mean, there's been plenty of times where we've baited them out with bows and arrows and stuff and just kind of killed them that way. So, this is the competency of the AI. I'm willing to cut a lot of slack on simply because not everybody is, a AAA studio. Not everybody has deep pockets because they're on the fucking stock market and they have angel investors like Green Hell and stuff. Like, not everybody can do these things. And so, to have persnickety AI, maybe it needs work, maybe it needs polish. That's fine. But putting in just the basics, seeing that over time they progress from coming at you with the pistols and the bow and arrow, and then they're coming with the shotguns, and they're coming with the fucking grenades, and then they're blowing the shit out of your house and lighting part of it on fire, and
And they're
you
in
know,
full like riot gear and stuff.
yeah, they're full riot gear, and you're like, I have a shirt and pants.
I have a shirt sewn together with pieces of cotton.
Yeah, and then you try to headshot them, and it's like, plink, nope, not today, bitch. It's very sad when you're like, it's like, weren't you just naked at your campfire like yesterday? What the fuck?
Where did you get the equipment to build a riot helmet?
It's yeah, but you know what? It's a cool little mechanic, and for Green Hell, obviously not obviously, they're not wearing riot helmets, but they are coming. They have the patrols that are out and about. They're coming periodically and attacking you at the base in the story section for Spirits of Amazonia. They have those totem things that they're coming after, and I mean, there was many a time where you would just be out trying to like, I'm gonna go check our traps, and then they come, they start breaking shit. They're breaking the racks, they're breaking these things, and it can be impactful. It can be impactful if you had, limited resources, or if you waited and you had been working on mud, or you'd been working on something that took a little more time, a second level, or a bunch of food, and they just came pounding up and broke all that shit. And it's just
Yeah.
it's something you have to plan for.
Yep. You either have to build defensively, or you have to be ready and aware, when they're coming. And but sometimes it's hard, because they would just come out of nowhere sometimes. Like you'd be, with your head in the box, kind of trying to organize things, and suddenly you'd hear them yelling, and suddenly they're breaking your shit. So yeah, yeah. I mean, I thought it was cool. It was annoying, but I thought it was cool that they actually would go after your buildings, because there are some games where the enemies just completely ignore any of the stuff you've made, any of the buildings, or in even in some games they get waylaid by the buildings that you make and stuff. Like if you've made a drying rack and you put it in a particular place, the AI will be confused by it and they'll just be like running into the drying rack rather than trying to go around it or go through it, you know. Um, so I liked that. As annoying as it was, I thought it was a good addition to have them actually break your stuff if they can't get to you, or even like to draw you out or for whatever reason.
Any of the complexity, like anytime the AI are doing anything that's a little more complex than just stand there and get taken out quickly, and when, and I haven't played, we went back briefly, super briefly to seasons of the Amazonia DLC, basically in Green Hell, and then we kind of got like, WoW had killed our desire to ever do reputation grinds again, and we kind of let that fall away. But way back, original in Green Hell, when it first came out of the alpha testing, and the natives weren't crossing like the little streams and stuff, and so you would just kind of run over the stream, and then they would just stand there, and you would just like plank, plank. Let me walk over and kick you in the face, la 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 la. But when they weren't being balked by things like that. They were really clever. Like, I don't want to really use clever, but I remember the first time they came after me when I was at the location by the docks, and I started drawing a bead on one of them with the bow, and he dashed aside, and the other guy with the spear came at me from like the flank, and it was kind of like elaborate. I was actually like, oh wait, this is kind of interesting. Like, I haven't seen this in survival. Oh, he fucking stabbed me in the ass because I'm standing here like complimenting their tactics when I should be fighting. But even if subsistence, it's a lot lower. But they will do their whole little like, go behind the tree, come out, drop on one knee to shoot. You know, Meanwhile, we're running around screaming serpentine. It's like the one thing, the one thing we do.
Zigzag.
Zigzag, serpentine, run away, run for the water. But
Yeah.
sorry, I was gonna say, it's just something that makes it interesting. It makes it interesting when they do things. I think we even have a clip somewhere of us playing the forest, where like they were trying to jump at us, and we were trying to light them on fire with the hairspray, and there was just a lot of maneuvering. It wasn't
Yeah.
very much just like click, kill, click, kill.
Yeah, exactly. They almost in a way become, part of the environment in that you have to you have to take dealing with them and being prepared for them and treat it as importantly as like finding food and shelter and managing your temperature and all of those things, because it's not just something that you can just be like, oh, look at the zombie, press the button, blow off his head, okay, whatever, moving on. You have to actually give them some sort of attention and put them on some level of importance within the other mechanics.
Yeah, and I think this is a neat point in time to sidestep again into another typing of enemy, which is when you're not doing the zombies and you're not doing the more humanoid traditional AI, then oftentimes the enemy, air quotations, is other people. Like having PvP be an element. So you're adding in this third thing. So I'm having to juggle, look at Daisy. I'm having to juggle zombies, and I'm juggling some survival elements like temperature or, getting sick or food or water. But at the same time, I have to watch for people, because regardless of what they tell you on mic, nobody is actually interested in an alliance ever.
I'm friendly. Are you? Are you
I'm dead,
though?
so I'm going to go with no. No, you weren't.
You have an odd way of showing your friendship.
I don't think it was with you. I think it was with Sarah. And we had a really elaborate door, like, how I build my inner doors and outer doors. And we had been leaving. And so she took off the lock, put it on the ground. I put it in my hand like I always do to lock up. She went out the door, and like just coming over the little bridge was two people. And I swung the door shut really quick, and I was like, do you want to run back in? And she's like, well, I'll try to talk to him. And I was already locking the door from the inside.
You're
And
like,
then
yeah, have fun with that. That's cool.
yep. I've been playing this game for many a day, and I'm going to lock the door. Thank you. And she was just like, hey, friend. And they were like, hey, what's up? She's like, oh, just going out scrounging. And they were like, oh, are you alone? And she's like, yeah. And then it was just like, pop, pop.
Oh no.
It's just thud.
Oh.
And then they started beating the shit on the door.
Oh
So
God.
it's just, it would be neat if the impact of people, and we've talked about this before, like I would be so into more of just role play PvP. The time we spent on that one role play PvP server, so fun. But there's like a line in between like a pure, like, I don't know. It's almost like they think it's, what is it? Battle Royale.
Oh
Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
just like the minute I see someone, if it's red, it's dead. If it's not me, like kill it. Don't try to
Gotta
talk.
gotta
Don't
get
try to.
the loot. Gotta take their shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you're in your like Daisy t-shirt and sneakers
Yeah. You've got
because
like
you
a
just
glow
spawned.
stick. That's it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, yeah,
It's
I
that
can see
that's
where they're coming
the
from. But
Yeah. Yeah. I was just gonna say, like, it's really reliant on everybody sort of playing along, right? Like, yeah, we had a lot of fun on that one server. That was, RP and called itself, what was it, Organic RP. We had a lot of fun on that server for the first like a month or two that we played on it, and then I don't know if it was because I think there had been a patch recently, or the servers had all reset or something. But suddenly there started being all these new people that came in and just didn't care about any of that. They didn't sort of try to play along. They just killed you on site, and that kind of ruined it. That just because then it just becomes it's no different than dealing with just PvE AI, shoot to kill. There's no interesting sort of interactions or anything of that sort.
I think the thing that was hard is that probably in that scenario, if it had been me, I would have put a little more. Like I would have had a little more rules, a little more boundary and structure around the RP element. And I think by leaving it so open ended and being like, oh, you know, really like hippie-ish hand movements, like, oh, we just wanted to develop organically, it really smacks of an easy way to do like, but well, I was just joking. Like I wasn't being racist or whatever, whatever. I was just joking. Can't you take a joke? I was just organically role playing, being someone who trigger happily kills everybody every 30 seconds. Can't you take organic RP?
I mean, I understand what they were doing. They wanted to not restrict people's play too much or whatever, or have to have like a million rules like that other server we looked at that had like very, very specific, like down to like times of day sort of rulings on when you could do certain things, and it was it was a lot. And I think they were trying to avoid something like that and allow different playstyles and such. But yeah, then you run into the problem of that allows people to do things like that, to just say like, oh well, I killed on sight because that's what I would do. That's what I would do in role play. If it was me in this situation, that's what I would do. And like, again, it comes back to just sort of not playing along, which it kind of ruins the experience overall.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an interesting element. And I guess there's like a couple of different ways you can view it. It adds a level of uncertainty. As no matter what you do in the game you're making, and you can make it, procedurally generated worlds and whatever, whatever, you can only put in so many possibilities when it comes to the AI and when it comes to even if it's weather events and things, you're still eventually going to get used to it because you're never going to change the AI every single time. And I play the game once a day for 365 days. The AI will never, ever change that much. I'll never have to keep relearning it every day. So even if you change the map or you change around the layout of the cave or whatever the case may be, even if you make it so that, 1 month there's 7 snowstorms a day and then 1 month there's none and I have no water, I'm still going to pick up all the mechanics and it's not going to give me, it's going to give me varying lengths of replayability or ongoing satisfaction. And I think I wonder if when people try to put in this PvP element, if they're really just trying to make it that every day is different. Because, that's one of the big, I think it's DayZ. It's like always in their videos, like your story. Like, oh my God, it's your story. It's so different. Every day is different. And it's like, yeah, it is. I can be killed and grieved every day by a different person. But I mean,
Yeah.
still the same thing.
Yeah, but it's true that it's a way of adding a more interesting interaction than just one within AI. Because like you said, you're always going to get used to over time. You're going to get used to mechanics. You're going to get used to the way that the AI behaves, and you're going to understand their patterns. You're going to understand where they are. You're going to understand how to deal with them. Um, so it'll kind of become samey after a while. But at least um, when you're facing off against another player, they'll they'll use different tactics. They'll have different ways of handling things. And it does allow, like, again, if they're open to it and willing and they'll play along, it does allow for another way for that encounter to end. Like the encounter with an AI enemy, just it always ends the same way, right? Whereas an encounter with a PvP player, it has different ways it can go, even if a lot of times it may not. It allows more openness and more interesting things to happen.
Yeah, I think it's definitely it can be a viable path for some games, and then I think for some games, all you end up seeing is like, can I play this game offline? Can I play this game on a server?
Can I play
Can I
single
not?
player?
Can I go anywhere that isn't with these people who ruin the game for me?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it is what it is. So when all of those are checked off, what you really end up having is, for me, and before we go into the topic at depth, I would say that for me, I kind of group in the natural predators as being part of just natural kind of, I don't know, environmental issues. TLD, I consider all that to be the same. Like, it is the cold, it is the temperature, it is, the lack of resources because, everything is really scattered and spread out. And it is the wolves, and it is the bears, and it is, going up and punching a moose in the face or whatever it is. Like, these are all part of the environment. And that is what makes the game so good for me. And if you threw in a zombie or a mutant or a PvP person, it would completely. I mean, clearly it wouldn't be the same game, but it also just wouldn't feel the same. Like, everything combines to make it such a nice journey. And I think if they had done it any other way, like, oh, they're wolves, but they're mutant wolves. They have tentacles.
Zombie wolves.
Yeah, wait, why do we not see more zombie wolves? Why are even the wolves in 7 Days to Die wolves?
We see
They're
zombie
zombie
bears.
dogs. Yeah,
Yeah,
and zombie
bears.
dogs, but then just the stupid little black wolves.
Where's our zombie coyotes? Like,
Yeah, even in STN and Survive the Nights, we kill like regular foxes. Where are my zombie deer? Why do we have regular deer? I have concerns. I'm gonna open a ticket.
bug report.
Yeah, bug report on STN with the picture. Click. This deer is too alive.
This deer should be more undead.
Yeah, I have a complaint. Then I get banned. Why are you flooding us with these complaints, you jackass? Well, what do you think about
Um,
the natural animals?
I think I'm with you in that I don't really consider um, animals to be an external enemy. I think that they are just sort of they're so wrapped up with the environment and everything that I don't think you can consider them external. I think that they count as part of the wilderness, you know.
Yeah, I think there's plenty of games that leverage the world, the hazards of the world, and the animals in the world to really help enhance their narrative. I mean, there's some, like, I would say some, like, stretching because I grew up at a beach house and I was always in the water and on the sandbars, and I was never chased by a crab like the ones in Stranded Deep.
Yeah,
Wait,
those are some interesting crabs, some very violent, angry crabs.
they're very tall and they're very angry and they're very fast and they make weird noises.
And they're very
And you can,
strong. They mess you up,
yeah,
man.
but also you're shooting them with weapons and they're just like, YOLO, don't care, I have a shell. So I have questions about where in the world they're basing this on. But aside from that, I mean, I think it's cool that the games that do double down on things like that, there's realistic stuff. Stranded Deep has the sharks and things. A lot of games, Green Hell, there's the scorpions, snakes, spiders. You could get leeches. You know, if you fall in the mud, you're sleeping in the mud, you get leeches. And I almost said Frozen Deep, which I don't even know where I was getting that. I think I was going ahead to Frostpunk and also still on the crabs. So anyway, in the long dark, you know, there's getting frostbite. You know, really having to weigh your temperature. It's a huge component, and I think these things really make it. They do again. They make the world feel like it's there. Walking around in Stranded Deep, trying to climb trees for coconuts, and then getting sunburn is pretty funny.
It is. And then you come down the tree and there's a crab trying to kill you.
Or one of those really pissed off pigs. Like I have
Oh
questions,
God, yeah. Angry pigs. Very
but
angry.
they're also so quiet. They're like the Prius of fucking island predators. I don't get it.
We did get snuck up on by pigs a lot. Well, and the crabs too, actually. They were very quiet, very sneaky animals out there on the islands, apparently.
It's so weird. I can hear like a zombie fart like 7 miles away in fucking 7 days. How many times have I been like, they're coming, they're 3/4 of a mile to the right, northeast, and you're like, okay. But Stranded Deep, I just be like, do pig, and I'm dead.
And dead.
It just seemed very unfair.
What were the what are the animals like in the long dark? Like do you have a better time sort of, seeing them coming or anything like that?
For some of them, they're really dependent on the difficulty. So, like Becca will play on Pilgrim, and so they don't try and come after you or anything. They'll run away. And if you put them on like Stalker or Interloper, they are just like it's it's like you walk outside with a piece of meat and wolves like 5 miles away are like coming. I smell something.
You have food? Just like, just like your common everyday dog. What? You have food? Let
I
me
mean,
see.
they
Let me
are
have some.
they are very aggressive in that. The moose, you know, it's one of those things where like if you fuck with him, I have a clip where I tried to shoot one and he came and beat the crap out of me. Bear, same thing. It's definitely a more detailed and realistic version than, like, say, the animal AI in Subsistence,
Oh
where there's
yeah.
all those breakpoints like, okay, they're alert, they're in that stance that they're alert. Now they made the noise, they're walking towards me, and you have like these checkpoints where if you back off, will reset. And so it's really easy. And for most of them with your sprint bar, it's really easy to sprint and just, I mean, I was catching chickens while sprinting away. You know, you do a couple figure eights or something, you can strafe away if you can find a clear path and they'll drop off. So it's not like that. You know, there's the struggle aspect in Green Hell where you're in that really close up view and you're trying to hit the button to use either a weapon or something to try to get them off you before they kill you. Like, there's a lot of really cool stuff in that game that really enhances that kind of like you're there, you're fighting against the animals, and the damage they do to your clothing, or like the moose breaking your ribs. These are all really neat. It's not just like, oh, I fought with X animal or X thing, and now I have 7 less hit points. Ooh. Like, I like when it's more complex to really show that something happened, as opposed to just like, oh, well, the little red bar is halfway. Now I'll just fill the little red bar again.
Right. Yeah, you brought up the subsistence animals, and that kind of got me thinking about the the aggression of the animals. And do you I guess my question is, do you like when the animals are more aggressive like that? Because I mean, I don't know, I've never been out in the wilderness with wolves and bears and such, so I don't know how realistically they would react to a person being out in the woods. Um, but it seems excessive that every single time you walk by a wolf that they'll be like, I'm gonna fucking kill you, you know? Um, that they're just so like you get close. close enough, and it's like, okay, instantly gonna murder you. Um, I like the idea like that in like the Long Dark. You said that they're attracted to like if you have meat on you or something. Like that's cool. That's very cool. Um, but like, what do you think about aggressive animals and the level of aggression? Do you think that some games overdo it? Do you think that it's sort of fine where it's at, especially if they're the only sort of uh, enemies, in quotation marks that you face?
I mean, it's kind of like the other things we've talked about, like the reality of the game. Like there's a certain amount of things you have to gamify because if not, there's going to be nothing to do. So you have to gamify the zombies that you know, they're deadly and they're damaging, but they're not too deadly and they're not too damaging. And you have to make the animals come and want to hurt you because if every single animal was, say, more realistic or more prone to run from people or whatever the case may be, again, probably not a lot going on in the game. The Long Dark actually has a screen. It's been a while since I've played, and I love the game. It's my number one like survival game. I will fucking fight you for that game. I'm going to get the little axe tattooed on me I've planned, and I love it. But like I've been taking a break. I've been so busy with just life and work and everything and other games that I haven't been able to play it. But unless they changed it, there was a screen actually, like in the first couple of screens when you started the game, that basically was like, we know wolves don't act like this. Like this is how it is in the game. This is not the reality of wolves. This is not how they act. And so
I like that they
it's
felt
nice
the
for people to know.
I like when I say I like, I don't mean like, I mean I find it kind of funny and amusing that they had to cover themselves that way because they knew that they were going to get people on their Steam page or in the comments on YouTube or something being like, actually.
Well, yeah, I mean, like the more I work with developers and I work with just checking out games and reviewing games and things, the more you see just the minute you say, "Oh, my game is a survival game. This is a survival game. This is a simulation, whatever the case may be." Like you get held to the standard where, especially if they're mad about a thing, if you're like, I do A because this is how you can do it, and while you can do it B way, like it's less popular or it's not as likely in this environment or this biome. And then, yeah, you get those people who are just like, I've looked through the internet, and you end up having to make a lot of these fucking like defense. Like, oh, well, you say that you want to be realistic, so, why do you do this? Why don't you have shitting and pissing? Why can you lift 3 logs? I myself can lift 7 in real life. Blur, blur, blur. And it just becomes the thing where you either have to start being like, this is how we're doing it because it's my fucking game, or this is how we're doing it, but I'll put a footnote here so that people understand. You see it a lot in crafting, where maybe you have something like, lead's a feature, and so rather than add in a whole new node and a whole new rock and a whole new this, given that everybody is sitting on a shit ton of lead, I will add in another recipe and I'll have it use lead, and then it's just like, oh, well, actually, you would use carbon, and it's just like, please shut up, it's a game. Like I'm not going to sit here and put in every fucking chemical and every, piece of ore and thing you would need, and it's just not probably going to happen. And I think for people to circle back to your original thing, which I definitely went off track on, was that I think people feel like they have to give them a certain amount of aggression. And I think it's interesting because there aren't any that I've played. There are none that I've played that don't end up putting in the bear and the wolf. Like it's always the bear and the wolf, and these are like things that are really out there. Skunks. People get skunked a lot more. Skunks will come and dig up your garbage. They'll fucking spray you. They'll get into things. They'll get into your trash. They'll get into your fire pit. They'll get into your tent. But nobody does that. It's not very exciting.
Oh man, raccoons too. How funny would it be to have a raccoon come and like steal your food out of your like your drying rack or out of your box? That'd be hilarious.
Right. And so these things are more realistic, but they're not like, we can go into rabies, and we can go into the fact that they could bite you, and we can go into the fact that they could skunk you in the eye, and then you'd be fucking blind and you'd walk off a cliff because you built near a cliff because you're a moron. Yeah, we can go into that. But what I'm saying is like the things that are more like realistic or deadly just don't make for good gameplay. They're not like in the jungle and being like, oh, okay, Seven Jakes, you actually died because you all caught like malaria through the mosquitoes, because it's not really exciting. And unless he's carrying around a smudge or he's making some kind of fucking bug spray, like putting him into damage from these things that are more realistic, it's not, you can build defenses against zombies and you can shoot the wolf or spear the bear or whatever the case may be. And so you get this really like visceral sense of me versus wolf, me versus bear. But you don't get that for the more realistic, things. You have things like going off the animals for 2 seconds. You do have some stuff where it does change. Like you have to boil the water. You have to eat the food before the little bar makes it spoil or something like that. But again, like for anybody who's watched Alone, like I mean, a good portion of those people go home from fucking really bad like GI. They're getting fucking salmonella. They're getting super sick from these animals, from eating the guts, from eating different things, from being really badly their body weight going down because of fats and things. Like that is the reality of this type of thing, and it doesn't make for good gameplay. Like flashy gameplay, I mean, that you can that you
Right.
can advertise about.
Yeah. No, I get you. I get you. And it's sort of, I don't really like, you know, I don't even think twice about it or even like, blink at the fact that, oh, I see there's a wolf or a bear in this game. They're probably gonna murder me. Like I don't even really. It's kind of just a given, like in a video game. Like that's just. It's like you said. It's more visceral. It's more of an experience, rather than them just kind of being there.
Yeah, but imagine how surprised and shocked you'd be if it was like a squirrel with rabies just came up and bit you, and that's how you died from rabies.
You just slowly die from rabies.
Yeah, like one day your tune, like you always go to the lake from water, and then your tune has like fucking hydrophobia, and you're just like, what's going on? And then you're
Oh
dead.
God, sounds awful, honestly.
But the one that went the closest for like trying to go aside from TLD, but that's really limited to the cold and stuff. But Icarus also really took a stab at that like environmental. You have those crazy storms. They're lighting shit on fire. They're fucking hitting me with lightning right when I say I hope I don't get lightning.
Oh
There's all
God,
sorts of there's all
the
sorts
game
of
heard
stupid
you.
shit. But they did the same thing. They really made it that kind of like yeah, okay, ooh, I built in the middle of the trees. It's so pretty, and they're on fire, and my house is on fire, and I'm on fire.
Oh God, yeah. The first time in that game when I saw the tree on fire from getting hit by lightning and then watch it get spread and the horror as I realized, oh God, that could spread over to us. Like that was definitely an oh shit moment that I don't think I had in any other survival game up to that point because I don't think that had ever really been a concern in any other game that we had played. This like forest fire spreading and burning down the house we had just spent an hour building.
No, and it really like it. Even though it's like flashing things, it also lends itself to like a level of like mechanical adaptation, right? Because remember when we were building, and the first thing I was saying was like, cut down all the trees near the house, cut down all the fucking trees.
Cut down all the trees. Let's pick up all the fiber off the ground.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just I don't want anything near the house except like boulders and nothing, just fucking open field. But before it would just be like, oh whatever, like I'll just build in the middle of the trees. What the fuck? Who cares?
Yeah, just right here is a good spot. Yeah, no, it does make you have to consider a bit more where you build and how you build and what's around you for sure.
I think the the ones that I kind of label, and this is a whole thing with the website where I need to go through and work on names, but the ones that I call a little bit more like an atypical survival. So it doesn't fit the survival, like bushcraft kind of criteria we were talking about for the website. But there are ones where they really do that same thing, where they're really good at that kind of like environmental AI event kind of survival. And I think two that come to mind would be like Frostpunk and Endzone. And they're really big on that kind of like that AI element. Like that world is what's fucking you up. And especially with both of these, and I know there's a bunch of like these borderline like city builder, but also kind of survival-y, but those two are the ones that really I think come the closest. Where it's just like, here you go, here's some wood. It looks like there's some coal over there in the snow. There's some metal. It's fucking negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit. There's 20 of you. You're all freezing and dying. Go. Scene. And you're just like, oh fuck. Okay. And like you gather your wood, and then you're like, well, I'll make A, B, and C. And then you do that, and you look around, and there's no more wood, and you didn't make anything to make more wood. And you're just like, yeah, that's it. Like, decisions were made that were poor. And sorry, people, I guess we will all sit here slowly and die.
Now we just slowly freeze to death. This is the end. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, they put a lot of balls in the air, and it's all, even though it's not as much like Endzone has more with like the little AI things, but it goes into that world. Like the world is the AI that is against you. And I think that Frostpunk does really good with that. And then they just throw in little curveballs. Like, oh, well, did I say it was negative 50 yesterday? It's negative 80 Fahrenheit. So it's also too cold to run this building that pulls cold and processes your food. And this will be like this for 2 weeks. So, JK, have a great day. Bye.
Hope you have a backup plan.
Yeah, hope you have food. Oh, remember when you did all those things where you said like children shouldn't work and now you have no workers? Those were fun. Remember when you turned away those refugees who came and now you're 20 people short? Those were good. Good times.
Remember every decision you made and how it led you here? Fun.
Yeah, and I mean it's not quite the same as experiencing like AI or environmental issues in a first person game. But again, it it's got that same almost like the permadeath kind of feel. Like you're going, you're good. Up, oh, JK, everyone's sick. Also, Snap Snowstorm, everyone's dead. Okay, here's the menu again. How you gonna set up your new game? Hope that game you just lost, it was 522 hours, was not important to you in any in any way.
You can kind of go from being pretty okay and, trucking along to pretty much dead in a span of a few seconds, from what I understand. This is not a type of game that I play very often, so I'm letting Jordan lead this part of the conversation. But from what I understand, that's what could happen very easily. Just one poor decision or just one random event that you aren't ready for, and that's it. That's the end of your game, and that's rough.
Yeah, and I think those kind of things, and I don't code or develop, but I feel like they can be easier for people, for like developers to code and set up than outside of, perfect case in point, like we came back to subsistence after not playing for years and we were like, YOLO JK, let's go do a hardcore thing. And I mean, we weren't getting fucked by hunters. We weren't, aside from you getting killed by like the wolf or whatever, like we weren't necessarily being killed by like the animals. We were having bad RNG. And the same thing with TLD on Interloper. Like it picks you up and it like shakes you in its hand and throws you down and it's just like, here you are. Well, where am I? I don't know. You're somewhere. Go. Clock's ticking. You have no food and water. Hope you find some place to shelter and also a way to make fire out of your ass because you're gonna die like of cold.
Yeah, what we found is that if you don't have food and if you don't have a fire by that literal first night, then you are probably not going to make it. And so You have to get somewhere good from wherever it throws you on the map, first of all. You have to get somewhere where you can build, and you have to get lucky enough to find the things you need, like find the nails to build, and find the stuff you need for a fire starter. And if you don't, then you're just, that's it. Like, you're done basically within that first night.
It's a fun way to do it because it accelerates the timeline, right? So in a super easy mode, which I've never played the two super easy modes in like subsistence and TLD, but my wife has. And like I've watched over her shoulder when she's playing in the Long Dark Pilgrim, and it's just like it's like every room you go into is just so much loot. And it's like she's standing there with 30 pounds of gear, and she's just like, do I want 7 rifles and 100 bullets or 30 pounds of beans? I don't know. And now I will just really slowly walk across to the next zone because I'm not really taking that much damage and the wolves aren't bothering me. La 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 la. And then when you're on Interloper, it's just like, keep going. What this entire village was empty, and instead of like one piece of cloth, that's pretty much how I expected it to go. Keep running, keep going.
Oh god, I'm being chased by 5 wolves.
Unsurprising. I mean, we even had when I was streaming, we even had TLD bingo. We had bingo cards that we made for every time I played an Interloper. And as I found things, you would mark it off. And I mean, it took like weeks sometimes to get a fucking bingo.
That's
Because
amazing.
we wouldn't find anything. And then each time you died, you'd be like, cool, this time we have A, but I don't have B. Next life. Well, I found B, but now I don't have A. Next life. Well, and you know, especially when they add in games with the weight, you know, the more they can hem you in, like now your shit's going to be, your temperature and your food's going to go down quick. Now the wolves, the AI are really you know, impactful. Also, you can only carry scum. Perfect example. Like you can carry what's in your hands and on your shoulders and in your t-shirt. Oh, but I have 3 things that can fit on my shoulders. Tough shit. Well, what if I carry one in my hands? Okay, well, what are you leaving behind? Like, okay, well, what if I carry the gas can? Because it's really rare. Okay, well, I hope you can beat a zombie to death when it comes, because that's what you'll be losing. So,
Yeah. And actually, I think you damage the item too if you try to hit them with it. So there's that as well. So you got to be ready to either take the damage to the item as you beat them with it and fight them off, or you have to drop it every time you're fighting zombies and then have to hope that you're able to pick it back up. And yeah, it's a lot. Decisions need to be made.
yeah, and that's what I mean. It's like, I think for to kind of encompass the podcast as a whole, I think that there's no game in survival. The AI never seemed to be like the cornerstone. They're never the foundation upon which the game is made. Except you could argue in the forest. But that's because the other, I don't think it's more that it was really like, oh, it's just them, there's nothing else. But I think the other things were so like generically done. Like, oh, the fire's going out, I will throw leaves on it. It's that,
Yeah.
because that is what I do. I mean, the game was shitting candy bars and stuff to you.
Yeah, I mean, we talked up how great the AI was and everything, and I think that's because like what you're getting to is that was the main focus, was making the AI creepy and making sure that they reacted in these ways and that you had to prepare for them in certain ways and that you could never feel safe, from them. And because of that, the other sort of survival elements were downplayed. Um, so yeah.
But that's what I mean is like outside of the forest, if you look at the other titles we talked about and stuff, they had all these elements that made them like there was the AI in Green Hell and it supplemented the gameplay. There are the wolves and bears in TLD and they supplement the starkness of the loot and the loneliness and just the temperature in the world, and they all really play together. And aside from the forest, I don't know any where they can rely solely on the AI, just because the AI are always so bad. Even in like a non-typical survival game like Dying Light, like the zombies are there and everything, but they're so generic. They're fodder. Like half the time you're just clicking the button. It's very first person shooter, just like click, 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 click. It's just with the survival games, I really feel like they can help shape it and enhance it, but they're never really like a main star for the ones I've played. There could be dozens of them where it's all about the AI and stuff. But even in Icarus, I mean, the bears and the wolves are like annoying, but then once you're a little bit geared, it's very kind of like do 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 do, like just killing another polar bear, la la la, and then they kind of take a back seat.
Um, yeah, I guess it's like the forest did it well, but I guess maybe it's hard to kind of to blend them so seamlessly. Um, the taking the survival elements and blending them well with the more external enemies, like zombies or bandits or whatever. But I think that I think that in some games they end up becoming inconsequential, but I think in others they really do sort of work well together. Like I think like the bandits and subsistence, I wouldn't say that they were sort of like yeah, you could get rid of them and whatever, then you still have the other things to do in the game, but I don't think that they're like inconsequential. I think they do add something. And I think for the most part, um, maybe it's difficult to do that, but the better experiences are the ones where they do kind of feel like um yeah, they're separate from the environment or whatever, but they work together and they blend seamlessly to create one whole experience.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Is I think at the end of the day, it works the best when they are a supplement to the world, but I think it needs to be. I think everything needs to work together for it to really make them shine and for really to make them kind of be impactful. There's a huge difference between just like dragging, like subsistence is a perfect example because the wolves and the bears, they're not really impactful. They end up coming across as very annoying. Like, oh, I'm picking fiber. Oh god, it's fucking wolf. I'll kite him away. Okay, he broke off. Whatever. That barely was like a tick in my consciousness. La 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 la. And then there's the hunters where you're moving around. You might come across the camp. You might be forced by coming across the camp to shoot one, and now you set up a retaliation attack, and now you have to take that into account. Or you never know which night they might raid your base, or whatever the case may be. It really makes them much more variable and engaging aspect of the game than just the wolves and the bears, where it just to me is just very like it's like getting trying to run around in like an MMO like WoW, and when you aggro things and you're just like I don't even fucking care, I'm just gonna keep sprinting
You're just
until
trying
you
to
break your
mine.
tether.
You're trying to mine for ore, and that gray wolf runs over and starts biting you, and it's like, really?
It's yeah, you're not even like threatened or anything. You're just so aggravated, to the point where like we could fly and WoW, and it was just like land, mine. Oh, you didn't get me. Fuck you. I'm going up in the air again. Like you're more of an annoyance to my gameplay than something that matters. But I think on the whole, I think there are cool things coming down the track with the AI. I think End Night is trying to push the envelope, and there's a couple of titles in my upcoming list that I'm curious to see where they go with it. And I think that as people enhance the survival elements and everything, it will make everything come together. I think it really helps when you have the world and your survival elements be more integrated and be more in depth, that the impact of AI becomes more of a big deal. Like picture Icarus with the building and needing to get food and do your oxygen and everything, but now put the bandits from Subsistence and Icarus. Have them come and be blowing shit up, and then right after that, a lightning storm hits and we're not protected. Like, it changes the entire tone of everything to me.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. Um, I think the best thing, you could argue like whether or not, there should be external enemies or there shouldn't be, and it should just be an environmental thing. And that as always, comes down to the game. But I think my favorite sort of things, my favorite sort of games, are the ones where they manage to combine them and where they make sense, and it doesn't feel like, oh, I just threw zombies in just to have, so you have something to punch. Like I'd rather that whatever the AI enemies are, that they fit with the world and the story and with the game, and that it all just blends together seamlessly and makes this one nice little package of a fun, entertaining game.
Yep. And when you find that game, link it to me so I can pick it up too.
Let me know so I can add it to my wish list.
Yep. It'll be like number 700. It's okay though. I'm gonna get them all and I'm gonna play them all too.
Someday we'll get to those backlogs.
Well, they just did the release date for Avatar 2, the movie, so I'll
Oh,
be busy.
got to see that
I
20
have,
times in the theater.
excuse me, I saw it the first one the day it came out, the second day, and then because I live in New York City, I had a bootleg copy of it like that week, but it didn't have subtitles for the part where they talk in their language. But I
Oh
had
no,
already learned it so much that I already knew everything they were saying. So
so good.
I, my friends would be like, "What are they saying? Let me translate this for you. I'm
Well,
an expert."
I'll translate. I speak Navi. It's
I do.
okay.
I'm kind of like an interpreter. Let me break this down for you. Oh man. All right, let's wrap this up. As always, we want to thank our patrons, Mitzi, Rinby, Static, Foxy, and Matt for and Matt for coming along and donating to the cause. We love you and Matt, and we just want to say, go ahead. I didn't know if
I
you were
was
going
just
to
gonna
laugh on
say,
that
yeah.
one.
I was just gonna say, yes, we love you, and I'm doing the heart hands as per usual.
Yes, hard hands for everyone, and we will put this up on the Patreon as you guys get early access. For everybody else stumbling across us, we encourage you to check out the website, which is linked in the show notes. Linked to our website is our podcast, the directory where you can search and filter for a new game to play. There are some reviews. There are the curator page where there's over 80 reviews actually on the Steam website for things. And there's a link to our Discord, and we encourage folks to come and hang out in our Discord because we talk about all sorts of shit all day, every day. And it's just a fun, fun place to be. So thank you again for tuning in, and we will catch you guys in our next episode. Peace out.
Bye.